Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. Alright guys, it's going to be another fun painting today. So grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now on this one, I did go over my traceable lines with a black Sharpie marker, and I would recommend that you do the same on yours, especially for the letters. Because I'm using student grade paint, I'll be able to see the Sharpie marker through the paint, and that will help when I do the lettering. If you don't want to do that, then you just get to work on your lettering kind of freehand. So we're starting off with his cloak and we're mixing blue and black. And we're going to kind of put this in the bottom kind of left-hand corner of his cloak. And here you'll see where I just paint right over those words, over those letters, and you can still see the Sharpie marker kind of through that. So like I said, if you want to do that for yours, go right ahead. All right, and I am using that middle flat brush, and we've got the darker blue on there. And now we're moving into just that direct blue. And if you want, I don't think I do it on this part, but on a few areas I do put 2 coats of paint on here because this is student grade paint. So if you want a bit more opaque and a little better coverage, if you're using student grade paint as well, when we're fully done with this, before you do the words, I would recommend doing your second layer before the letters. So your call. And just kind of watch the video again for the same colors and mark making. So still moving in with that blue, filling in kind of the rest of his cloak. We'll get that whole area. And if you happen to be on a stretched canvas, I do recommend when your color comes to the edge of the canvas, just kind of carry that over the sides, the tops, and the bottom. That way it just looks nice when you hang it on the wall, having that color wrap around. All right, and if you're holding your breath right now, take a big inhale, relax. I'm really proud of you for painting at home, stepping out of your comfort zone, and hopefully you just kind of get to escape the world a little bit. So here in that little corner, I did go back to that dark blue and black just to give a bit more of a shadow before we move on to our next color. And if you want to, you can see where I am going back and kind of adding more, almost a second layer, but my paint is still wet, so it's not taking the opaqueness like I would like. So you can try this with yours. Try holding that brush or applying the paint from a 45-degree angle with your brush, and that will help apply it a little bit thicker. Or your best option is actually just let it dry and do a second layer. All right, so as we move into the next section, we're still staying with blue. We're going for a medium blue, and that's about a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 part blue, 1 part white. If yours is a little darker or lighter than mine, totally okay. And again, here we're going right over those letters. I am making space for those little dots, but if you happen to cover them with this blue paint, don't worry, you can put the other color on top of it when we get to that step. Now I am using that middle flat brush, and if you need to, you can jump down to the small pointy brush, or if you're working on a larger canvas, grab a larger brush. But no matter what with any of my videos, please adjust to what you need with the tools that you have and kind of your comfort level at the time of painting. And remember to breathe. All right, and this is a good spot to pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to clean that brush really good, and we're not going to quite go for a pure orange. And you can see where I grabbed that red, kind of put a little beside the yellow, and that actually ended up being a lot of red. So this is one of the few times in the video that I would recommend doing the opposite of what I just did. I want you to start with the yellow, add a tiny amount of red till you get to kind of a nice orangish, light orangish color that you like. I kind of like this burnt orange, and I am coming close to matching the colors on this original vintage poster. So feel free if you want to pull up the original poster and kind of go from that, or go from the video, or completely change colors. Full permission to do what you like. And same thing with this scarf. It is going on kind of transparent, so I am trying to apply it a little bit thicker, and that's where you can kind of see that 45-degree angle for the brush, and that just allows a little bit thicker, a little more opaque paint to go on. It's the tip of your bristles that actually makes the brush movement and the brush marks. All right, so now we're going to move into yellow. And I didn't quite want it just that bright yellow, so I am mixing a little bit of a tiny amount of the color we were just using into the yellow. And that just kind of muddles it a little bit. It kind of becomes a mustardy, little more earthy yellow. If you want, you can even mix raw sienna in with your yellow, and that gets it kind of that mustard color. Or, like I said earlier, you can go right with your bright yellow. So your call. And just filling in that space. And again, if you need to switch brushes to that small pointy brush, go right ahead. Um, and again, if you're on that stretched canvas, carry that color around the sides of the canvas. All right, another place to pause the video and take your progress photo. You guys are doing great. We're going to go for a light raw sienna, and we're going pretty light, so we're starting with that white. Tiny amount of raw sienna will work. And we're going for kind of a light skin tone. If you want to change the skin tone, you can add more raw sienna. You can do a raw sienna and black mixture. You can do a raw sienna and burnt sienna mixture. Feel free to make the skin tone whatever color, whatever shade you like. All right, so going a little bit darker with that skin tone, added a little bit more brown, and then adding a tiny amount of black. So we're kind of going for this grayish brown, and this is going to be his hair color. Again, full permission to change colors as needed. All right, and I am going right over those traceable lines, covering them all up. When we get into the lettering, we'll be doing the same thing. So you don't want to see any, excuse me, you don't want to see any of those Sharpie marker lines or traceable lines by the time we're done with the painting. All right, so now moving into that direct raw sienna for the stick that he is holding or the staff that he's holding. Again, it's going on there kind of thin, so feel free to apply it a little bit thicker. And then we're going to go with a light gray, and that's going to be white with a little bit of black for a light gray in that little bottom right-hand corner. And then we're going to go for a bit darker gray for the glove. So again, just kind of working light and working our ways a little bit darker. So just add a bit more black to the mixture you were just using for your medium gray for the glove. Again, it's okay if you overlap some of the other colors and make sure you're going right over those traceable lines. You're doing good. And then clean that brush. There's a little cuff that he has of red. So I'm just going to grab that red and throw it on there right next to that glove. I don't think it showed up too much on the traceable line. So if you have to paint over part of your jacket, go right ahead and do that. All right, and then last step for the underpainting, we're going right into that black. We're going to fill in the hat and the silhouette figure behind him. And then we'll go back in with maybe a few other layers, and then we'll start working on the words. So hopefully you guys are relaxing, enjoying the process, getting lost in the transformation of turning this blank surface into something you created. That is the best part about the process of painting, and this is something that your skills get more comfortable with more and more practice. So as you're working with this, I do want you to kind of play with the brush. This is going to get you kind of prepped for doing the letters. Notice that light pressure, you can create a smaller or skinnier line, and a little more pressure is going to create a wider and fatter line. And as we work on the letters in the next step, you're going to want to kind of play with that and keep a little consistency. And if this is your first time working with the pointy brush or working with lettering or really even just painting, be kind to yourself. You are going to learn a lot in your beginning stages of painting. This is something that is kind of exponential, that the more that you paint, the more you learn, and the more that you can kind of take into your future paintings. All right, so pause that video, take a progress photo. I do want you to let this fully dry before you start moving into the letters. And here we're using that pointy brush, pure white paint. Few things I want you to notice is kind of notice keeping a consistent pressure. Again, be kind to yourself. You can see where I'm kind of putting my pinky out, using that as my kind of steady pivot point. You can also rest your forearm against the edge of the table. But whatever you need to do to kind of keep your mark making pretty consistent. You're also welcome to rotate the canvas, turn it upside down, anything that you may need to do to make it easier to make your marks. So another thing I want you to notice is notice that every literally every two brush strokes, I'm going back and grabbing more paint. This is doing two things. This is kind of giving me paint that I'm actually applying to the canvas, and also thick enough paint to cover and compensate for the Sharpie marker underneath. By applying that a little bit thicker, you don't have to do two layers of the paint. If you need to do two layers, go right ahead and do that. And I believe on one of the words at the bottom, we will do that. And then we'll be outlining the top part with blue. So moving right along into the other words, again, just kind of breathe, relax. If you are noticing that your brush is shaky as you're going to apply the paint, that means you're holding your breath. So exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, and that will be of benefit to your process. If you are noticing that your brush strokes just keep getting wider and wider, take a look at your brush. If you have a lot of paint buildup on your brush, wipe off all that brush, reload with fresh paint, and then go back to your application. And the more that you paint, the more some of these things will become kind of second nature to look out for, um, and just makes it a little bit easier. So again, be kind to yourself if this is your first time painting, if this is your first time doing letters. Um, Letters are not the easiest thing, and it takes brush control and practice, and they do get better. All right, so now we're going to move into yellow with that touch of red. Going to go lighter than what we did on the scarf. So it's just that tiny, tiny, that's actually closer to that background color that we're using. And again, notice that I'm grabbing paint every two or three brush strokes. Right now, I can actually tell that I'm starting to get a decent amount of buildup on my brush. So I'll wipe it off in a minute, and then you can also twirl your brush as you pull it out of the paint, and that helps kind of keep the bristles closer together. And if you have any suggestions or tricks or comments, feel free to leave a comment below so other people can try what worked for you. All right, doing great. I do admire all the calligraphy artists. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And anybody that can still write in cursive. I am not one of those people. All right, so good place to pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to move into black paint. We're going to let our letters dry a little bit, and we're going to outline the rest of the composition here. Then we will go back and do a blue outline for the words at the top, for the word at the top. So same thing as you're working with the outline and the black paint. Um, you do want to keep a little bit of skinnier lines here. So if you're treating the brush kind of like a pencil and just using the tip of the brush, it will help. If this is too challenging or just, too frustrating right now, you can skip using the paint, same with the letters, and you can use paint pens or Sharpie markers or metallic markers. Like there's always other options. You don't have to just use paint. So feel free to explore other ways for you to continue your creativity, but also challenge yourself with stuff that you find difficult. So moving right along, outlining the glove, you can reference the traceable for where all the outlines will be going. And again, it's your painting, so if you feel like adding something that's not there, if you want to personalize it, go right ahead and do that. All right, just get those last little lines in there. Doing good. And I do want you to look at your painting from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away. Take a look at what it looks like from that distance. All right, so pause the video, take your progress photo. Now we're going to do the last step. We're going to use that pure blue paint or navy paint, whatever you want to use. And we're going to be outlining kind of like bubble letters up here at the top. So again, take your time, exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, and treat your brush like a pencil and just use the last 2 millimeters of the brush for some of these really skinny lines. You can skip this step, you can switch colors, and you can do this with a Sharpie marker or a paint pen if you want. Either way, this is great practice, and I do recommend that, a painting that you maybe found challenging at the beginning of your painting process, after a year of painting, give it a try again and see how much easier or how much more fluid that painting is for you, and remember back to when you painted it the first time. Those are great little self-confidence boosters to just go, hey, I remember how challenging this was. Look at how easy it was the second time or after I learned a little bit more. And, you know, in this day and age, we need those little positive reinforcements that just give us confidence to step out of our comfort zone and trying new things. With that being said, please share your work with your community and anybody else that kind of is maybe thinking about painting, but they're kind of scared. Share your story and the benefits that painting have brought to you and encourage them to try it for themselves. Even if you don't like it, you at least tried, and hopefully you move on to another creative outlet um, for yourself. But I am very, very happy to see all my students around the world, just how much they're painting, those emails and the pictures that you're sending me and the photos you're tagging me in. Keep them coming. Those are awesome. All right, so a few little final details. This is where I'm going to go back to that yellow and a little touch of that um, red mixture and just doing that second layer on the words on the bottom. So if you need to do a second layer on anything, add whatever you want, but make this painting your own. I'm really proud of you guys. All right, so this brings us into the conclusion, those last couple of letters. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and painting with me. I look forward to seeing your pictures. And until next time, cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.